The board will now come to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Schweitzer. Alderman Oldenburg. Alderman Cone. Alderman Narayan. Alderman Balmer. Alderwoman Velasquez. Alderwoman Sanye. Alderwoman Spencer. Alderman Browning. Alderwoman Clark Hubbard. Here. Alderwoman Keys. Alderwoman Tyus.
Present.
Alderwoman Boyd.
Present.
Alderman Aldridge. President Green.
Present.
Alderman Balmer. Alderwoman Velasquez. Alderwoman Spencer. Alderman Browning. 11 present, you have quorum.
A quorum being present, we will be led in opening reflection and prayer by Hannah from Sophie Rising.
Good morning. Morning. I have a reflection, not a prayer, so if you want to sit, you can. The traditions of Christianity tell that we began in Eden, a garden, almost empty of people. And for too long, we have had a misguided longing for that so-called paradise. We have held up soulless suburban expanses as the ideal in our confused desire for paradise. And we have held cities in contempt, viewing them as necessary evils of this world until we regain that low-density Eden. And yet, the Christian scriptures also tell of the new heaven and the new earth, of the holy kingdom made manifest, of the wildest visions of the divine imagination, and it is a city. The womb and source of our being urges us not to return to an empty garden for the privileged few, but rather to build a beautiful city for all people and all creation. This city is one without divides, without gated streets. It is busy and dense and distinctly urban, with people welcomed from all over the world. And this city stands unequivocally against destruction and genocide in every place. The streets of this city are full of people, not hurtling death machines, large or small. And the land is for the people, not parking garages. A river runs through this city, and it is as clean and as clear as the air, for trees grow in this city, providing sheltering shade and abundant, nourishing food in every season. This city is a place of learning, of healing, of ease and intrinsic worth, not soul-crushing hustle. And every person is housed and fed, and no one goes without health care of any kind, for every body is honored as the image and likeness of the sacred. I believe you all here share this vision, no matter in what tradition or language or way you learned it. So may we all have God's holy mothering rage lit within us, so that we will move beyond vision and empty promise to action. May we have the courage to use our power and privilege to build that city here, without holding the comforts of the few over the needs of the many. So in all their many holy names, let's get building. Amen.
We will dispense with line item 4, any introduction of honored guests. Alderwoman from the 10.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. I would like to have as my honored guest the legacy and memory of two pillars in the community that we lost, and here are memorializing and celebrating their life today at the same time, the time we're down here on the floor. I would ask for a moment of silence for them, as well as the immeasurable impacts that they made on our communities, on our city, on our region. Absolutely shattered ceilings and broke chains and made a lot of communities better. And so with that, again, I would like to ask for a moment of silence for Sterling Moody and Levi Sanford.
We could please take a moment of silence.
Thank you.
Alderwoman from the 11th.
Good morning, and thank you, Madam President and members of the board. My honored guests today are, well, I have a few. Well, the first one is my second granddaughter who celebrated her first birthday yesterday. So Raina is 1 year old, and she had her first birthday cake. So Granny loves you. We have Chris Simpson, the owner of Rob Lynn's. I've known Chris Simpson about 20 years. And every shirt that I've designed and had dreamt about, I was able to send to Chris and have him to produce the shirt. So this is my latest creation, but this is Chris's work. And so if you need work shirts, Chris does all of my work shirts, jackets, coats, as well as little motivational shirts like this one, Together We Rise, 11th Ward, Elevated. So you all need to step up your shirt game. Call Chris. Okay, so in addition to that, Malik Sims, who has been just a wonderful, wonderful help to me here in the 11th Ward, is my honored guest today. And I would like to also ask for a moment of silence. Here lately, I've gotten several calls from friends who have lost siblings. These are siblings who are probably in their, maybe 40s, 50s, 60s, whatever. So as you all know, Alderman Ballmer recently lost his brother. Mr. Donnell Williams has lost his oldest brother. I spoke to him yesterday, and he passed away. But former Alderwoman Dr. Marlene Davis's sister passed a few days ago. And so for all of them, we ask for continued prayers and a moment of silence.
We could please take a moment of silence.
Thank you.
Alderman from the 14th.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. As my honored guest today, two of them that sits in the gallery, I want to introduce a good friend who's been an activist, has been at the board plenty of times, but kind of took a break and now back, Mr. Bob, who is up in the dais. And I had the pleasure, beginning of this month, to meet one of, I know Alderman from the 11th is Elevate the 11th Ward, but in the 14th Ward, we're the mighty 14th Ward. And I had the opportunity to meet one of my constituents and residents that was down at City Hall, was just walking through the hallways. It's like, "You're my alderman!" And we've been working on some stuff, but I also want to introduce Mr. Jerry, who's also sitting up in the balcony, who's a resident of the 14th Ward. He did not know that I was doing that, so I see you blushing right now. Thank you for being here. As well as I want my other honored guest to be the pants of Mr. David Sweeney, not Mr. Sweeney himself, but only his pants. So thank you.
Any further introduction of honored guests? Any further introduction of honored guests? Seeing none, Alderwoman from the 10th, you're recognized on the approval of the minutes from Monday, April 15th, 2024.
Thank you,
and
Madam.
Tuesday, April 16th, 2024.
Okay, sorry. Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. I move that we adopt the minutes from, approve the minutes from Monday, April 15th and Tuesday, April 16th.
It's been moved by the Alderwoman from the 10th, seconded by the Alderman from the 14th, that we approve the minutes from Monday, April 15th and Tuesday, April 16th, 2024. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Report of city officials.
Report of city officials can be found in A, B, and C of the agenda and has been placed in the Google Drive for your review. Dear members of the board, I have the pleasure to submit the following individual for the appointment to the Developmental Disabilities Resource Commission. The appointment of Selena Washington. I respectfully request your approval of this appointment. Sincerely, Tashara O. Jones, Mayor.
Alderwoman from the 7th, you are recognized on Mayor Jones' appointments to the Developmental Disabilities Resource.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. I would like to refer this appointment to the Health and Human Development Committee.
It's been moved by the Alderwoman from the 7th, seconded by the Alderman from the 14th, that we send the mayor's appointment to the Health and Human Development Committee. Is there any discussion? Alderwoman Tyus, I saw your hand was up and now it's down. Are you good?
I'm good. She sent it to committee. I'm great.
Okay. Any discussion? It's been moved by the Alderwoman from the 7th, seconded by the Alderman from the 14th, that we send Mayor Jones' appointments to the Developmental Disabilities Resource Commission to the Health and Human Development Committee. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Dear members of the board, I have the pleasure to submit the following individuals for appointment to the Magnolia Community Improvement District. The appointment of Ashley Wiegand, the appointment of Lisa Schmidt, and the appointment of Stacy Howlett. I respectfully request your approval of this appointment. Sincerely, Tashara O. Jones, Mayor.
Alderwoman from the 8th, you are recognized on Mayor Jones' appointments to the Magnolia Community Improvement District. Alderwoman from the 8th.
I move for the approval of
Mayor Jones' appointments to the Magnolia Community Improvement District.
I move for the approval of the mayor's appointments to the Magnolia Community Improvement District.
It's been moved by the Alderwoman from the 8th, seconded by the Alderman from the 14th, that we approve Mayor Jones' appointments to the Magnolia Community Improvement District. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Dear members of the board, I have the pleasure to submit the following individuals for appointment to the Clean Energy Development Board. The appointment of Nigel Williams and the appointment of Tim Swice. I respectfully request your approval of this appointment. Sincerely, Tashara O. Jones, Mayor.
Alderwoman from the 10th, you're recognized on Mayor Jones' appointments to the Clean Energy Development Board.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. I move that we move the mayor's appointments to the Clean Energy and Development Board to the committee.
It's been moved by the Alderwoman from the 10th, seconded by the Alderwoman from the 7th, that we send Mayor's appointment to the Clean Energy Development Board to the HUD's committee. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries.
That's the extended report of city officials.
We can dispense with line items 9, 10, and 11. First reading of board bills.
Board Bill 1, sponsored by President Green and Alderwoman Spencer, an ordinance making appropriations for payment and interest, expenses, and principal of the city's bond indebtedness, establishing city tax rates, and making appropriation for current year expenses of city government containing an emergency clause. Board Bill 2, sponsored by Alderwoman Boyd, an ordinance prohibiting the wearing of facial coverings when worn with the intent to intimidate or threaten another or to conceal one's identity in the commission of an unlawful activity, prohibiting the wearing of ski masks in certain areas of the city and while on public transportation and public transportation-related facilities or on private property without the express written permission of the owner, lawful tenant or occupant of the property, except as otherwise provided herein. Board Bill 3, sponsored by Alderwoman Clark Hubbard, an ordinance directing the Director of Streets pursuant to Ordinance Number 70333 as amended by Ordinance Number 71394 to install speed humps on the 1200 block of Montclair Avenue. Board Bill 4, sponsored by Alderwoman Spencer, pursuant to Ordinance Number 70333 as amended by Ordinance Number 71394, an ordinance directing the Director of Streets to install speed humps to calm the flow of traffic on various blocks in the 8th Ward. Board Bill 5, sponsored by Alderwoman Keys, an ordinance directing the Director of Streets to install speed humps pursuant to Ordinance Number 70333, as amended by Ordinance Number 71394, to calm the flow of traffic on the 3600 block of Olive, the 41 and 4600 blocks of Carter Avenue, the 3800 block of Lincoln Avenue, 3,200, 3,300, 3,400, and 3,500 blocks of Washington Avenue, the 400 and 500 blocks of Cardinal Avenue, and the 400 and 500 blocks of North Compton Avenue. Board Bill 6, sponsored by Alderwoman Keys, an ordinance establishing a four-way stop site at the intersection of North Garrison Avenue, Locust Street, regulating all traffic traveling north and southbound on North Garrison Avenue at the intersection of North Garrison Avenue and Locust Street, regulating all traffic traveling east and westbound on Locust Street at the intersection of Locust Street and North Garrison Avenue, containing an emergency clause. Board Bill 7, sponsored by Alderwoman Clark Hubbard, Alderman Oldenburg, and Alderman Aldridge, an ordinance calling for the submission to the electors of the City of St. Louis at the November 5th, 2024 election, a proposal to impose a sales tax of 0.5% on all retail sales made in the City of St. Louis pursuant to Section Revised Statute of Missouri 67.547.1 to provide funds to improve the quality, affordability, and access to early childhood education in the City of St. Louis for children ages 5 and under, establishing an early childhood education fund for revenues received from tax sales, authorizing the City of St. Louis Mental Health Board of Trustees to expand such funds for the purpose herein containing the severability and emergency clause. Board Bill 8, sponsored by Alderwoman Boyd, an ordinance recommended by the Board of Estimate and Apportionment, authorizing and directing the issuance, establishment of terms, and sale by the St. Louis Municipal Finance Corporation of its city parks leasehold improvement dedicated revenue refunding bonds in the principal amount not to exceed $25 million containing the severability and emergency clause. Board Bill 9, sponsored by Alderman Cone, an ordinance recommended by the Board of Estimate and Apportionment authorizing St. Louis Municipal Finance Corporation to issue its leasehold revenue refunding bond in an aggregated principal amount not to exceed $20 million in order to refund all or portion of its outstanding Series 2015 bonds containing the severability and emergency clause. Board Bill 10, sponsored by Alderman Cone, an ordinance recommended by the Board of Estimate and Apportionment authorizing and directing the issuance, establishment of terms, and sale of airport revenue bonds not to exceed $320 million to finance the cost of purchasing, extension, improvement, and enlargement of the airport containing the severability and emergency clause. Board Bill 11, sponsored by Alderwoman Sangay, an ordinance that amends Title 16 of the City of St. Louis Revised Codes of Ordinance to add a chapter setting forth regulations for attorneys who access and enter correctional and detention facilities when visiting with persons who are detained therein, containing the severability and emergency clause. Board Bill 12, sponsored by Alderman Aldridge and Alderwoman Sangay, an ordinance that authorizes certain persons to access and enter city correctional and detention facilities for the purpose of oversight, transparency, and accountability. The ability to access city facilities that are maintained by the Division of Corrections is intended to be codified under Chapter 16.12 of the Revised Code of the City of St. Louis. Board Bill 13, sponsored by Alderman Cone, an ordinance recommended by the Planning Commission, amending zoning code to add Section 26.80.45, creating exceptions to certain parking, height, and area regulation of the zoning code for any parcel or portion thereof located within a half-mile radius of the planned north side, south side Metro Transit stations on the Green Line light rail alignment approved by the East-West Gateway Council of Governments Board of Directors on February the 28th, 2024, containing an emergency clause. Board Bill 14, sponsored by Alderman Aldridge, an ordinance which amends Chapter 8 of the City of St. Louis Revised Codes to streamline food trucks operation. Board Bill 15, sponsored by Alderman Aldridge, an ordinance amending Section B of Chapter 26.70.040 of the Revised Code of the City of St. Louis to extend the permitted operating hours of marijuana dispensaries. That's the extent of first reading of board bills.
Reference to Committee of Board Bills.
To the Budget Committee, Board Bill 1. To Public Safety, Board Bill 2, 11, and 12. To Public Infrastructure, Board Bill 3, 4, 5, and 6. To Health and Human Development, Board Bill 8. To Transportation and Commerce, Board Bill 7, 9, and 10. To HUDs, Board Bill 13 and 14. To the Special Committee on Reducing Red Tape, Board Bill 14. That's the extent of reference to committee.
Just to be clear, 15 For the HUD's committee, it's 15, not 14.
Oh, so noted. Thank you.
Alderwoman from the 13th.
Yes, Madam Chair, I was asking on Board Bill number 7, why was it sent to Transportation? Because it's under St. Louis Mental Health Board Trustees is in that board bill, and I'm over the Health Committee.
If you wish to contest where a board bill is sent per our rules, you need to send an email to board leadership, and we have 3 days to respond with the decision to move the bill or not.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Anything further? Seeing none. Second reading report of committees.
We have none.
Report of special committees.
We have none.
Board bills for perfection consent.
We have none.
Board bills for perfection.
We have none.
Report of engrossment.
We have none.
Third reading and final passage of board bills consent.
We have none.
Third reading and final passage of board bills.
We have none.
Report of finally passed and signed by the president.
We have none.
We can dispense with line items 14 through 19. First reading of resolutions and reference to committees.
Resolution 17, sponsored by Alderman Ryan, priorities for the Public Safety Committee.
Alderman from the 4th, you are recognized on the first reading of resolution number 17.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. I move that we refer Resolution 17 to the Public Safety.
It's been moved by the Alderman from the 4th, seconded by the Alderwoman from the 7th, that we refer resolution number 17 to the Public Safety Committee. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Second reading of resolutions, committee reports and adoptions.
We have none.
Can dispense with line item 21. Courtesy resolutions. Alderwoman from the 10th, you are recognized on the motion to adopt the courtesy resolution consent calendar.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. I move that we adopt the courtesy resolutions consent calendar.
It's been moved by the Alderwoman from the 10th, seconded by the Alderwoman from the 7th, that we adopt the courtesy resolution consent calendar. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Aye. Motion carries. Miscellaneous and unfinished business.
We have none.
Announcements.
Wednesday, May 1st, 2024, Budget and Public Employees will have a committee hearing in the Kennedy Room at 10 a.m. Thursday, May 2nd, 2024, Personnel will have a hearing via webinar at 1 p.m. Friday, May 3rd, 2024, full board meeting in the chambers at 10 a.m. That's the extent of the announcement.
Any further announcements? Alderwoman from the 11th.
Thank you, Madam President. So I just wanted to announce that Rouge Bistro, located at 3037 Olive, is hosting a all-city workers happy hour today between 5 and 8. It's a beautiful, brand new spot. Excellent food. They have a wonderful chef. And so you work for the city, get to Rouge Bistro at 3037 Olive between 5 and 8 p.m. today. Tomorrow, we're having a cleanup at O'Fallon Park. We're going to meet at the Boathouse at 10 a.m. So please come prepared, ready to work, and we're going to clean the park yet again. And if I can just take a minute to say a little bit of something about this situation with O'Fallon Park. This is a beautiful park nestled in the neighborhoods of O'Fallon, Penrose, College Hill area. The people who come to our park, a lot of them come and they abuse the park. Many people have called to say, why don't you shut it down? And I remind them that aldermen don't shut down parks. We have to do that in collaboration with the Parks Division as well as our police department. We continue to ask people to please respect our park. We know that a good majority of the people who come and utilize the park are not from the area, they don't live there, but this becomes the place where they come to hang out. And we don't mind that. That's what parks are for. The recreational places for families and children. But it's not a place to come and abuse with trash and bad behavior and bringing long guns into the park. Respect our park, respect our community. The park is for all to use, but it is not to be abused by anyone. So I just wanted to get that out there, and we'll be out there cleaning up tomorrow at 10 at the boathouse. So as we are into spring, I just wanted to remind everyone to spring into spring. There's something to do in every part of your home and every part of your outside home to begin to bring things back into order. Spring is a time of renewal, to clean up, to organize in every way. So as we constantly worship our Apple phone or our Apple God and our Android God, please take some of that time to get outside and do something great with your family, something great with your community, even if that's just to clean up the block that you live on. Every bit of activity you do outside of your home does impact our community and our city. Let's get busy. Thanks.
Any further announcements? Alderman from the 3rd.
Hello. Thank you, Madam President. I would like to announce that we have 2 park cleanups in the 3rd Ward this weekend. Both are tomorrow morning. At 9 a.m., there's a cleanup at Marquette Park, and at 10 a.m., there's a cleanup at Mount Pleasant Park. And I hope to see everyone there. Thanks.
Alderwoman from the 12th.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. I'd like to reply a bit to the Alderwoman from the 11th. I agree with everything she said. I do want to point out, and I don't know if we were if the ordinance was overruled by the state legislature, but I believe an Alderwoman and Gracia was an Alderwoman. We did pass a legislation about guns in the park. And I would ask the Alderwoman from the 11th to talk to our attorney and city councilors to see if that's something we can get enforced. And I think she could talk to former Alderwoman Gracia about her bill, because I'm quite sure we passed our ordinance about that. Thank you.
Alderwoman from the 7th.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. I wanted to announce the 7th Ward's next town hall. That will be on May 15th at the Rita Ford Community Center in Gravois Park. The neighborhood has been taking a very proactive approach to talking about public safety, and one of the things that the ward has identified as an interest is vacancy. So the new building commissioner will be joining us. Someone from Problem Properties will be joining us. Someone from the Vacancy Collaborative will be joining us, and we'll really be talking about some of the proactive things and ways that we can address the large amounts of vacancy in the 7th, but particularly in Gravois Park. And then I also wanted to announce a community meeting that will be on June 5th at the Southside Wellness Center. We have a project coming. Some developers are hoping to do a historic rehab of what used to be the Gorvalia grocery store. And so we just want to set up a meeting so that community can come in and see some of the work they've done with the historic rehab and talk about some of the things moving forward, which I've been planting my seed. I hope that we make it a grocery store again. And then I also wanted to announce that this Saturday, there's a Second Chance town hall event that will be at the Central Library with 100 sons and 3 daughters. So I would encourage you to go out. They will be talking about the expungement process. They will have lawyers present to talk about what your options are if you might have a criminal record on site there. And so just want to make sure that folks in the community share that. We know that we have, criminal justice things going on. A lot of times having a criminal history can keep you from housing, education, a number of other things. So definitely want to explore the expungement options there. Thank you.
Alderwoman from the 8th.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. I just in a matter of clarification, the Alderwoman from the 12th mentioned a bill that was related to guns in our parks. I happen to be the sponsor of that a few years ago. We used a provision which allows, through the state of Missouri, allows us to designate our parks areas as a daycare facility, because we do, as a city, provide daycare and other recreational activities to our city's kids. And through that, designated our entire park system, parks throughout the city of St. Louis, under that designation, allowed us to prohibit guns in those areas. And so the Alderman from the 12th is absolutely right. We do have a ban on guns in our parks. It is enforceable under city code, and I would like to uplift the Alderwoman from the 12th, I would say, request that we started enforcing it, and I will be happy to work with her to make sure that we can move that forward. Thank you.
Alderman from the 9th.
Thank you. I just want to announce that we're having a town hall on 2nd at 4234 Washington. That's the New Horizons United Methodist Church. That starts at 7 p.m., goes to about 8:30 p.m. The focus of this town hall will be homelessness. We are having a number of special guests that can speak to that subject, both what we are doing and where we are trying to go. The guests will include representatives from the Department of Human Services, the Neighborhood Security Initiative in the Central West End, the Mental Health Board, and our own Alderwoman Zanye. So hope everyone can make it out. We'd love to see
you. Alderwoman from the 6th, did you have an announcement?
I do. Thank you, Madam President. Just want to announce it is apparently the spring season of town halls. I have one as well on on Monday, April 29th. So that's this Monday. It's at Missouri School for the Blind. It'll be from 6:30 to 8 p.m. We'll have speakers from SLOOP, the Strategic Land Use Plan, as well as folks from the Mental Health Board talking about their new program, Wellness in Neighborhoods. We'll also have snacks from Treehouse, so if you're food motivated, please join us. Thank you.
Any further announcements? Alderwoman from the 1st.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. I would like to announce two things. One, we will have a Public Infrastructure and Utilities Committee meeting this Wednesday at 3:30 p.m. in the Kennedy Room. There's also, in celebration of Arbor Day, a tree planting in Carondelet Lions Park this Saturday at 10:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. and hope to see you all there.
Alderman from the 14th.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. I want to invite everybody to the 14th Ward. We are having the Go Marathon run through the city of St. Louis. It will stop also in parts of the 14th Ward. So if people want to get their run on early in the morning, starting at 6 or 7, I can send you the information so that you could be able to line up. After the marathon, Greater St. Louis Inc. is hosting an after party in the 14th Ward at 11 a.m. at downtown or at Market and 15th Street. It is open to all ages. We will have Schlafly Beer, Sugar Fire, performances by Mastermind and many other individuals. And since it is the spring of town halls, I just want to put it on people's radars in the 14th Ward now, and we're still fleshing out all of the details. On May 15th, we will be hosting a 14th Ward Town Hall where we have the Madam President, yourself, speaking, as well as assessor from the assessor from the assessor's office to speak about the senior tax freeze. And then on May 21st, myself and Alderwoman Kara Spencer is doing our joint town hall. Woo, yeah, we are. You gotta look that email. And we will have Circuit Attorney Gabe Gore, who will be joining us for the town hall on May 21st. More details to come. Thank you.
Alderwoman from the 12th.
Madam President, members of the board, I just wanted to extend my apologies to the Alderwoman from the 8th. I knew we had a ordinance, and I think that she did some gun ordinances, and I still think that Alderwoman Grassi did something about the parks, but I'm sorry that I got it wrong, but I'm glad that I remembered that we have one, and we really should be enforcing it if they are bringing guns, because it's a dangerous situation at not only it's Fairground Parks and O'Fallon Park, and we need to really be careful of letting guns come into the park, because there's that's a family place to be. And it scares me that I hear that they're bringing long guns. I know they have them all up and down the streets. We begged the state not to do that for 30 years. We begged them not to do it, but They think they know better than we do. So it's unfortunate that we have to enact gun laws about our parks, but we do need to enforce them. And again, my apologies to the Alderwoman from the 8th.
Alderwoman from the 10th.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. A couple of things. One, we'll have a HUD's committee meeting this coming Tuesday, April the 30th at 11 a.m. One of the things that will be on the agenda will be a discussion from Home is Where Our Health Is, a comprehensive assessment of the code enforcement process and an analysis of local housing quality and health data. The purpose is to getting occupied properties into compliance and reducing the negative outcomes on renters and low-income homeowners, as well as hopefully hear from our board appointees. And then it's our time of month again, 10th Ward. It's our one-on-one time this Monday from 6:30 to 7:30 at Centennial Christian Church under the leadership of Reverend Dr. Derek Perkins in the beautiful Fountain Park area. Our guest will be Dr. Adam Pearson, as well as the Mental Health Board and others, of course, our NIS team and the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department. I so look forward to this time together on the last Monday of the month every year. Every month, last Monday of the month. Hope to see you all there.
Alderwoman from the 7th.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. One of the things that's coming upon us is Cinco de Mayo, and I know that it's a huge event, one of the largest in the city that gets a big turnout, but I wanted to speak just a little bit for the public to kind of know that things will be a bit different this year. We did have a shooting at Cinco de Mayo last year that was extremely alarming and concerning. And so for those of you who are planning to come to Cinco de Mayo this year, I just want you to know that there's going to be some things different for security. We have targeted entrance points. So it used to be in the past that you could come through any entryway. We have targeted entrance points. We will have folks, both officers and security folks and folks in community at each checkpoint to do a pre-screening to make sure that we're not bringing any, we don't want any guns, we don't want any of those things within the space, we don't want any knives, so we will have some security screening and just see some different measures at Cinco. We still want you to have a good time, we still, want to celebrate the culture, but we also want to make sure that we keep folks safe, and obviously we have to learn from what happened last year. And then the other thing that I wanted to announce, I guess this is one for colleagues, but also for community. I know that the shelter bill that we had last session, one of the things that some of my colleagues mentioned was that I didn't come to your ward or didn't come to your community. So I sent every one of my colleagues an email with an open invitation saying any community space that you would like me in, whether that's a town hall, a neighborhood, any other community space, the door is open. I did mean what I said, that we're going to resume conversations, but I'm committed to taking all of April and all of May to go to any community space that you all would like me in. And also there's many neighborhood organizations and folks within some of you all's wards that have reached out. And so whenever folks reach out to invite me, I will reach out to the alder and kind of make sure it's okay. And wanted to thank Alderman Browning and some of my other colleagues who have we've already set up for me to go to your ward so we can get this legislation to a place that best works for all of us. Thank you.
Alderwoman from the 13th.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I wanted to first thank the mayor. She had cabinet in the community on April 22nd at Better Family Life. We had a very large turnout. And then on May the 1st, it'll be a tour of the Walnut Park neighborhood, and we have residents that are participating in that tour to look at what's going on in our Walnut Park community. On May the 2nd, we'll have a cleanup build-up sponsored by Urban League. It'll be in the Wells Goodfellow area, and that will be their focus for that day. And today, I am honored to say that Walbridge CEC is having a sneakers ball from 5 to 7 for the youth, and everybody is invited to stop by to congratulate the youth on their project for today. So I wanted to thank Lisa Porter that had coordinated this, and so I'm really excited about it because Walbridge is starting to come back around to service the community in a positive way. Thank you.
Alderman from the 3rd.
Thank you, Madam President. I would like to announce a Transportation and Commerce Committee meeting for Monday, this coming Monday at 2 p.m. On the agenda will be Board Bills 9 and 10. Thank you.
Alderwoman from the 11th.
Thank you once again, Madam President. So I just wanted to announce that there will be a happy hour on Thursday, May 2nd, from 4 to 7 p.m. This happy hour is actually sponsored by Hope Housing Options Provided for the Elderly. They're not-for-profit organizations, and the happy hour on May the 2nd, again, between 4 and 7, they will have refreshments, light refreshments, beer, wine, and a good time. So please come out. Thank you.
Any further announcements? Any further announcements? I have a couple here. One, I will be hosting a town hall on Monday at 6 p.m. at IBEW Local 1, focusing on workers' rights and economic justice. So please save that and come on by. Second of all, you received an email yesterday that we will be reforming the Committee of the Whole for this legislative session at 3:30 on May 7th. So please make sure that's on your calendar. And then one last thing, I just wanted to also make sure that we kind of give props to our Alderwoman from the 7th, who, due to her advocacy for our unhoused neighbors, was invited to speak on the steps of the Supreme Court this past week under the Grants Pass decision that is under review for the Supreme Court regarding the criminalization of our unhoused neighbors. And so it was, I think, quite an honor to be invited as one of the few folks from around the country to come and speak on that issue. So I hope we can give her her flowers for doing that. And with that, Alderwoman from the 10th, you are recognized on motion to excuse.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. All members were present this morning.
Great. Alderwoman from the 10th, you're recognized on the motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. I move that we adjourn until Friday, May 3rd, 2024.
It's been moved by the Alderwoman from the 10th, seconded by the Alderwoman from the 7th, that we adjourn until Friday, May 3rd, 2024 in the Board of Aldermen chambers. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We are